Hi there, everyone. Thank you very much for coming to join me for my little chitty chat. Today, I wanted to kind of talk about um, something that I've mentioned a couple of times on my channel, and that is the fact that I struggle with ADHD. Since in this last year, I've realized that that's actually something that affects me. Versus for the majority of my life, I thought that I had dodged that bullet. Apparently, I didn't. I wish I would have known when I was younger, because then maybe I would have better coping mechanisms now than what I have currently. So, a couple of the things that actually really affect my life when it comes to the ADHD is obviously one, the focus. Two is my obsession. I call them my obsessions because it tends to hop from thing to thing to thing. Um, and then just my overall forgetfulness. Um, this is blaringly obvious when my husband will ask me to do something and I will completely just forget it. Now, I can remember things like song lyrics or the order of my DVDs or scenes from movies. I'm really good at that, but trying to remember certain things seems to be such a big struggle for me, and for the longest time, I didn't know why. I honestly thought that it was just because I wasn't paying enough attention to whoever I was talking to. And then when I started to do a little bit more research into ADHD, and I found out that forgetfulness is actually something that is quite common with people who have it, I'm like, okay, so I'm not just not paying attention, it's just that my brain does not file that away. And I feel really bad when it happens because when your spouse asks you if you can do something for them and your brain decides to screw with you and not have you remember that kind of thing, it makes you feel really bad. Because it's like they're doing something, like, case in point. My husband had half of a sandwich that he wanted to take with him tonight. And I'd packed up his drinks and everything else, and he had everything ready except for the damn sandwich. And I felt so bad about that because I seem to have this problem where it's like I'll get everything else right, but there'll be like one or two things that I forget. And he never makes me feel bad about it. Like, he never says it's like, well, you're always forgetting things, because he has the same thing I do. But I personally feel bad because I know that if someone forgets something that I ask them to do, I get upset. But no one else does. And I've been trying to curb that because it's like I can't hold someone to a different standard than I hold myself. But I'm also incredibly hard on myself when it comes to my own performance and things. This is why counseling is such a great thing. But yeah. The next To tackle one of the other two issues is the focus. I think this is predominantly the one that most people associate with ADHD, is that they can't focus really on anything. Here's a case in point. Right now, as you can see, I'm currently watching Dragon Ball Z Abridged by the YouTube channel Team 4 Star. I have seen this series multiple times, and most of the time I put it on for background noise. But there are times when I will start up an episode, decide I don't want to watch it, then I'll switch to something else. Or then I'll switch complete platforms. I'll go from YouTube and I'll go to Hulu. I'll watch like a quarter of an episode of like anything on Hulu. And then I'll get bored of that, and then I'll move on to like Amazon Prime, and I'll watch something from there for brief moments. And I never seem to sit on anything. Now, there are some days when I can pick something and I will just sit on that the whole time, but that leads into the obsessions thing, and I'll talk about that in a second. But when I flip back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between different platforms and different videos that I want to watch, it gets very exhausting, because by the time you finally like get to that point where it's like, just frickin' pick something. And I know this bothers my husband real bad, because he's like, didn't you just have it on YouTube like half an hour ago? It's like, yeah, now I want to watch something on here, or I can't find anything I want to watch on the other two platforms. And it's frustrating, because my brain is telling me, it's like, no, you want to watch this. No, you want to watch this. No, you want to watch this. And it doesn't sit still. And it is, same problem I have with writing. Because, like, at the beginning of this month, I had 3 projects that I had to do. I had my Nano project. I had the edits for my Hunter X Slayer series. And I had to write Stand Up and Obtain Control. When I tell you that I blew through the majority of the beginning bit of my Nano project, and I struggled to write anything of my Reaper series, but I did a shit ton of stuff for my Hunter series. It was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I could not stay focused on anything for longer than an hour, maybe. Thankfully, though, that hour that I was able to focus on my Nano project, I was able to get where I was, which is at that 20,000 word mark. But the biggest problem that I'm having is that there are so many things that I want to do. I want to do writing. I need to do laundry. I need to do dishes. I need to eat. Yeah, that's something that confession time, I have forgotten to eat more times than I can even imagine. I will just be working on something, and it'll be 5 o'clock, and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't eat lunch. And I won't be hungry. And that's a problem. I know that's a problem. But trying to fix that is still something I'm trying to work with. But the focus thing, I'm still trying to find a way to crack that nut. If anyone who is either a psychologist or suffers from ADHD as well can give me some freaking tips, would be quite helpful. Because my poor husband, he's got that on lock. Like, he knows how he can focus, but that doesn't help my brain. I would like to have some help. My counselor has helped me a lot, but there's still some things that are not clicking. The third thing that honestly, it gets ridiculous with this one. This is my obsessions. Now, I don't know if this is something that affects all people with ADHD, but I know for me, if I find something I like, I will get obsessed with it. Case in point, the game Persona 5. Now, I know a lot of people in my friend group, they love Persona 5, they love the Persona series. I had never been into it. That is, until my friend Cinnamon let me borrow her copy of it, and I started playing it. Now, if anyone's not aware of how Persona games work, the first about maybe 3 to 4 hours of it, the game is basically holding your hand. So it's like a gigantic tutorial. But then after that, they let you go. So I was like, okay, this is an interesting game, but I didn't get very far into it. Until I watched her play. And I saw what you can actually do when you are allowed to do as you wish. Girl, when I tell you that I literally called my husband, who was out with a couple of his friends, and he was at GameStop. I told him, it's like, dude, I want to get this game. He's like, what game is it? I'm like, Persona 5. He's like, got it. I'm like, wait, what? You're getting the game for me? It's like, yeah. I'm like, I love you. So he picked up the game for me. Fast forward 250 hours later, you heard right, I sunk 250 hours straight into 2 playthroughs, into a third. I was so obsessed with this game. Every day I would wake up, I would flick that PlayStation 4 on, and I would start playing it from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. I was obsessed. And this doesn't just happen with video games. Oh no! It happens with books. It happens with movies. It happens with TV shows. I cannot tell you the number of times I've gotten into a fandom because I have been obsessed with it. And for the longest time, I didn't know why. And then I realized it's because of the hyper focus that ADHD comes with. And, oh, I have to be careful now. Because I know that if I try something new, I am going to, if I like it, I will get obsessed with it. And I cannot stop thinking about it. This stuff even happens with food. It's, hold it in, girl. But ultimately, I have found ways to curb it. But then I've also found ways that it's like, you know what? I'm going to be a little obsessed right now. That's how I felt with Layla Rainey. The minute I found her book, Imperial Stout, oh, thus began purchasing not 1, not 2, not 3, but all 7 of her Agents Irish and Whiskey and her Troubled Hops series. Even before the 3rd one was completely out in the Troubled Hops series, I bought all the ebooks. And then I started looking into the audiobooks. And then I got the paperback editions of the Troubled Hops series. And I even got signed copies because I was so obsessed with it. And now I have all 3 of her Fox City books. See, this is what obsession looks like. See, I just loved her books so much that I could not stop. And the same thing with like Persona 5. Or I even did this with Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I did this with the movie Sky High when I first saw it. I binge watched that movie 8 times in a row in like 2 days. I literally watched that movie back to back. I just had it on repeat. And, ooh. It's both tiring and it's also great because then after I've watched it so many times, like I can watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged and go through like 8 episodes at a crack and not even realize where I am because I don't care because I've seen it so many times. The only episodes that I can honestly say that I have not seen more than maybe 5 times is about the last 5. Because, of course, they took so long to get out the last several episodes. But that's beyond the point. But to wrap this all up in a nice little bow, if you struggle with ADHD, everyone's going to have something a little different. It's a spectrum. It's not a tried and true kind of thing. And again, as I said at the top of this video, I wish I would have known this when I was younger. Because a lot of the problems that I suffer with also have to do with how I learn and things in school. And I wish I would have known that back then. So if you have any of these kind of feelings, if you, I swear to God, I'm hearing shit. But if you feel like you don't have anyone who understands you, leave me a comment because it's so nice to have someone that you can talk to, especially when you feel lost yourself in this whole thing of having ADHD. And I know that I haven't been professionally diagnosed. This is more of a self-diagnosis based off of what I've seen with my husband, my dad, my uncle, and my cousin, who all 4 have ADHD of varying degrees. And this is what I've seen, this is what I have experienced, and this is what I have looked into for my own sanity, because that is how I deal with stress. I research until that stress goes away. And ultimately, that is what has helped me. But if you are the type of person who needs to talk to someone, feel free to DM me, send me a comment. I will happily talk to you because we're in this together. We're in this together trying to find the way to do what we love. Like for me, it's writing. I love writing, and the ADHD does hurt that love because it's so hard to focus. But again, I'm getting long-winded. This is the focus coming back around. But again, hope you all enjoyed this little chit-chatty video. Thank you all for coming to visit. I apologize if you saw this kind of video previously. I was having problems with my phone not recording audio, so I had to film this again. So I hope this is much better this time. So I will see you all in the next video, and you guys all be safe. Bye-bye.